And when the acronym BRIC was coined in 2001, Brazil, Russia, India, and China were just entering periods of significant growth and prosperity. When South Africa joined in 2010 to form the group BRICS, the world economy was in crisis. But these emerging economies are still doing relatively well. And CCTV's Paulo Cabral has an update.
Just a few years ago, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa, were booming, raising the promise of a world economy led by emerging nations. Maybe in the future, but right now things are not looking as good. China's growth remains significant if you compare it to the rest of the world, but the country's economy is slowing down. Russia, severely hit by low oil prices and the Western embargo, was downgraded by credit rating agencies earlier this year. And this month, Brazil also lost the investment grade seal from Standard & Poor's amid political and economic crisis.
I don't think that it's right to say that the BRICS, all of the BRICS are in crisis. India is quite successful, is growing quite a lot. So I think the importance of the group will continue. There is certainly now, particularly in Brazil, in Russia, in South Africa, a bit of a slump. But I think the long-term projections are likely to be fulfilled because it's just a matter of long-term development.
In the Brazil-China Chamber of Commerce, the plan is to try and turn the current economic challenges into good business opportunities for Chinese investors.
Brazilian assets are doubly cheap because, one, of the crisis, and two, the devaluation caused by the crisis, so that today everything in Brazil is very, very cheap. Assets that you could not have bought a year ago, today are on fire sale.
There is still hope the BRICS countries will have a bright future, but analysts warn these economies need to prepare themselves for long-term sustainable growth if their goals are to be achieved. Paulo Cabral, CCTV, São Paulo.
Well, one BRICS nation seems to be growing rapidly despite the global economic challenges, and innovation may be the key reason, I'd say. Shweta Bajaj has that story.
Wow Makers has a quintessential startup story. Started by Jassim and his friends, the company was started as a design house. After years of figuring a way to scale up their operations, they decided to start a unique shot explainer films business. The team decided they need funding. That's where they heard of the Startup Village. Set up in 2012, Startup Village is a partnership between the Indian government and private funders to incubate startups, and Wow Makers were the first company to be incubated by it.
We are just 3 people who are interested in freelancing and who didn't have a clue of what a startup is. So being here in an ecosystem like this have helped us to bring in a process to our company. There is a clear-cut organizational hierarchy and everything. When we started, we were just like getting some works and then do it and get the money, that's it.
Last year, Wow Makers became a profitable company. Set in the South Indian town of Kochi, Startup Village focuses on student startups, giving more importance to smaller town entrepreneurs. It is modeled on technology incubators in the Silicon Valley, United States. It aims to incubate 1,000 product startups over 10 years and incubate a billion-dollar company along the journey. India's problems are the same as its startups' problems, lack of basic infrastructure. And that's where Startup Village steps in and gives entrepreneurs basic infrastructure like an office space, help in getting funding, helping them incubate, and also, of course, giving them a whole lot of confidence. Pranav Kumar Suresh is the CEO of Startup Village. He says Startup Village has come a long way since 2012. It was given the go-ahead from the Indian government, and in 5 years they had to incubate 48 startups, out of which at least 24 should be able to go out and start on their own. Pranav says as far as startups are concerned, government has an important role, but the most important one is to give them validation.
When a government comes out and says that, so this is a nice thing to do, when the government comes out and says that there is startup, Stand-up India, Startup India, what it is a clear signal to the youngsters and to the society in general.
Rabitech is another such startup, started by 3 youngsters who met at the startup village and were working for various startups within the village. It's a success story in the making. They decided to come up with a device when put in a mall will give deals to people walking around. The funding is done and Rabitech is about to be launched. Salin Sunny is the CEO and co-founder of Rabitech Technologies. He says Startup Village gave him all the help he needed.
Everyone is coming over here. So all the investors, all the high-profile people, everyone is over here. So I just want to talk to them. That's all. Just give a basic idea about our product. And that is how I got one investor.
India is seeing a startup boom. Young Indians are aspiring to be job creators and not job seekers. And that is what is helping the industry. Next in line is a startup policy by the Indian government, which is likely to give a further impetus to the Indian startup industry and take it to the next level. Shweta Bajaj, CCTV, Kochi, Kerala, India.